Imagine standing at the absolute pinnacle of Hollywood. I mean, a $150 million net worth, earning $1.8 million per episode.
Untouchable.
Completely untouchable. And then, over a decade, chaos just takes over.
Yeah.
Public meltdowns, personal crises, and some really aggressive financial moves.
And the final bill for all that chaos, it's just arrived.
Calculated literally down to the penny by the courts. The amount is.
Yeah.
It's just staggering. $15.3 million. Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your sources. And today, we're looking at explosive court filings, complex financial reports, some expert legal analysis, and we pull out the most important nuggets of insight for you.
Right.
Today, we are plunging deep into the legal drama around Charlie Sheen and this monumental child support claim. And it is so much more than just another celebrity scandal.
Oh, absolutely. This is really a masterclass in debt enforcement. The documents we're analyzing, they were filed in late 2025, and they show you exactly how sporadic payments, a crucial career decision he made to slash his income, and this is the big one, the cold, brutal math of statutory interest created this massive financial time bomb.
A time bomb is the right word.
It is. You'll find that the biggest lesson here isn't about Hollywood at all. It's about the legal impossibility of outrunning missed payments.
Okay, so let's start with that headline that broke the internet. The $15 million claim. This was filed by his third ex-wife, Brooke Mueller, in LA Superior Court.
Yep. And she alleges he owes over $15 million in total arrears for their twin sons, Bob and Max.
What's so crucial here, and what you pointed out, is how that number is broken down. It tells the real story.
It really does. According to her filing, the principal amount, the actual unpaid child support he should have paid since, mid-2011 is about $8.9 million.
So $8.9 million is the debt, but the claim is for $15.3 million. That leaves, what is that, $6.4 million just sort of floating out there, and the sources say that's statutory interest.
That is the key financial trap. That's $6.4 million. That is the cold, brutal mechanism of family law at work, especially in California.
Yeah, explain that.
Child support arrears, they don't just sit there as a debt. They immediately convert into something called a judgment debt.
So if I miss, say, a mortgage payment, the bank calls me. But if I miss a court-ordered child support payment, it becomes, what, a legally enforceable asset?
Precisely. It becomes an asset that the other parent can treat like any other collectible debt.
Wow.
And in California, this judgment debt accrues statutory interest, often at a punishing 10% annual rate.
10%.
And it compounds. It's not just calculated once a year on the original $8.9 million. Any payment Sheen missed, say, 10 or 12 years ago has been accruing interest on top of previous interest. It just snowballs.
So over a decade, that interest starts to actually rival the principal debt itself. I mean, it's hard to even wrap your head around how that compounds.
Let's try. If his original monthly payment was, say, $50,000 for one ex-wife, and he missed a whole year, that's $600,000 in principal.
Right.
At 10%, that first year of missed payments alone adds $60,000 in interest. Then that interest plus the principal becomes the new base for the next year's 10%.
And you multiply that over a decade for two different mothers at one point,
What?
and you can see how $8.9 million just explodes into $15.3 million.
Exactly. And here's the other kicker. Once child support becomes an arrearage, it generally can't be reduced retroactively, not even for extreme hardship. The law just locks that number in.
And Mueller's immediate ask is, it's intense. She's demanding the court compel Sheen, who's 60 now, to pay the full $15.3 million within 30 days.
Plus her legal fees, about $25,000.
If a judge confirms all this, the enforcement tools at her disposal are pretty robust, I'm guessing.
They're designed to be. If the court validates that amount, which is all down to the paper trail, what was ordered versus what was paid, she can use everything from wage garnishment and asset seizure to putting liens on any property Sheen still owns. This debt is aggressive.
And it was really engineered by his own actions a decade ago. This whole thing didn't just appear out of thin air. To get why he's facing this, you have to go back to the incredible, almost unimaginable wealth he had and the choices he made.
We're talking about one of the most successful careers in Hollywood history. You have the film career in the 80s and 90s, then he moves to TV, wins a Golden Globe for Spin City.
And then hits the absolute jackpot with Two and a Half Men.
The historic jackpot. In 2010, the numbers were just staggering. He was the highest paid actor on TV, earning $1.8 million.
Per episode. And reports from that time put his net worth at a peak of around $150 million. That's not just wealth. That is a massive, sustainable cash flow machine.
And then came 2011. the public catastrophe, the comments about Chuck Lorre, the substance issues, the Tiger Blood and Warlock interviews.
Yeah.
It all ended with him being fired by CBS and Warner Bros. He did get a huge settlement from the wrongful termination lawsuit, though, an estimated $25 million minimum, so he was still very liquid.
But the real financial turning point, the decision that really set the stage for this $15 million lawsuit, it wasn't the firing. It was a calculated move he made a few years later, around 2016.
That's right, because at that point, Sheen was still on the hook for about $55,000 a month to each of his ex-wives, Denise Richards and Brooke Mueller.
So that's $110,000 leaving his bank account every single month.
$1.32 million a year. Just in child support. It's a heavy lift, even for a millionaire.
Very heavy lift.
So to drastically reduce his reported income, which is the number courts use to calculate what you can pay, Sheen made this critical financial move. He sold his profit participation rights.
What we would just call residuals.
Exactly. His residuals for 2.5 Men. He sold them for a reported $27 million.
Okay, let's pause on that, because this is the legal hinge point. Why does selling off a passive income stream like residuals matter so much in a child support case?
Because residuals are guaranteed consistent income. They are the definition of reliable cash flow. Before that sale, his monthly income from those residuals was over $600,000.
Wow.
By liquidating that for a one-time $27 million payout, he slashed his consistent monthly income on paper down to under $90,000.
So he basically took this giant, reliable river of money and turned it into one static lump sum. The whole point being to go to court and say, look, Judge, I don't make $600K a month anymore, so I can't pay $110K in support.
That was the clear goal.
I mean, it sounds incredibly aggressive, but maybe legally sound. As a strategy to modify future payments.
And it partially worked. The courts did later temporarily reduce his payments to $10,000 a month for each mother. But, and this is the crucial part, his ex-wife Mueller immediately fought back. She alleged he was already $88,000 in arrears at that time and got a temporary freeze on some of his accounts.
So that was the flashing warning sign.
That was it. No matter what he did to change his future payments, the past debt was already there, and it was already collecting interest.
And, you know, if you're finding these Hollywood twists and these sort of cold, hard financial traps fascinating, make sure you're subscribed to The Deep Dive. We uncover these kinds of stories every single week. Let's also pivot to the emotional backdrop here around 2015-2016, because Sheen wasn't just fighting a financial war. He was dealing with catastrophic personal crises.
Exactly. In 2015, he publicly revealed he was HIV positive, a diagnosis he'd received 4 years earlier. That kind of personal vulnerability, that kind of health crisis, it changes everything.
And the court filings showed this wasn't just a health crisis, it was a huge financial strain. He claimed he'd paid something like $10 million to extortionists to keep his status private.
$10 million. On top of that, in that 2016 motion to get his support reduced, he cited his medication costs. He claimed they were running at $25,000 a month after insurance.
So you have massive medical bills, huge extortion payments, and a self-imposed loss of his main income stream. You'd think that would generate some sympathy.
You would.
So wait, shouldn't a catastrophic health crisis, an HIV diagnosis, necessary medication, be grounds for an automatic or at least faster modification? Why are we still looking at $15 million in arrears despite these life-altering circumstances?
And that is the universal painful lesson here. It's something you really need to internalize no matter what your tax bracket is. Child support obligations are designed to be extremely rigid. They do not automatically adjust just because a parent's income changes.
It doesn't matter if it's a job loss, a financial disaster, a health crisis.
It doesn't matter. The law punishes inaction, regardless of the severity of your circumstances.
Wow.
The courts get that life changes. But they can't operate on informal agreements or just sympathy. If your circumstances change, the only safe route is to seek a formal modification from the court immediately. The fact that Sheen wasn't making full payments while waiting for that reduction is what let that interest monster loose.
So what this means for you, the listener, is that you can be the highest paid actor in TV history, worth 9 figures. But if you miss a court-ordered payment, that liability starts gathering 10% interest. And that interest, as we saw, turns $8.9 million into an extra $6.4 million over a decade.
And there's another critical layer here. Family lawyers will always tell you to make some payment, even if it's partial.
Right. Don't just stop paying.
Never. Making zero payment or just deciding on your own to reduce the amount, that dramatically increases your risk of being found in willful contempt. And that's the legal system's ultimate hammer. It's rare in these cases, but it can carry fines or even jail time.
And that rigid past is now just slamming into his very different present. I mean, heading into 2025, Sheen has been working so hard on this public reset.
He's been sober since 2017, which is a major, major victory.
Huge. He just released his memoir, The Book of Sheen, and a documentary, aka Charlie Sheen. He's framed it all as an attempt to finally stop running from his past.
And we've seen the professional reconciliation, which is key. Getting back to work with Chuck Lorre on the show Bookie, that's a huge signal of a return to the mainstream of stability.
And the personal openness has been striking. In September 2025, he candidly admitted to having sexual encounters with men, and he said, quote, "I'm no longer running from anything." This surge of vulnerability contrasts so sharply with these cold, hard, decade-old debts that are now coming due.
And that contrast is where the law lives. The legal system is indifferent to public narratives, to personal confessions, to sobriety.
It just cares about the paperwork.
It only cares about the documentation of debt. A sober, working Charlie Sheen is a great story. But from an enforcement perspective, it also means he now has a higher income capacity and new assets to target.
Which brings us right back to the stark reality of the numbers. Sheen's current estimated net worth in 2025 is reportedly around $3 million.
A staggering drop from $150 million.
But the judgment Mueller is seeking is $15.3 million. The debt is 5 times his reported worth.
If the court confirms that debt, and it likely will, we are absolutely looking at massive enforcement action. That system we talked about will be used. They'll go after any remaining assets, rental properties, bank accounts, future earnings, to satisfy this colossal debt.
So they can seize tax refunds, block professional licenses, put liens on any real estate he might still have.
Everything. The system is designed to collect.
This case is just a stark, public, and incredibly expensive reminder that even a $150 million fortune can be completely erased by personal turmoil, legal costs, aggressive financial moves, and critically, that rigid, accumulating 10% interest on child support.
You just can't sell your way out of a legally mandated obligation and expect the court to just automatically accept it.
So that raises a really important final question for you to think about. In this age of the total public reset, where a celebrity can get sober, release a memoir, reconcile with old enemies, can they ever truly settle the private, bureaucratic debts like $15 million in arrears that operate completely outside the court of public opinion?
Because the paper trail, it never ever forgets.
You've been listening to The Deep Dive, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, finance, and pop culture, providing you with the essential nuggets of knowledge you need. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.